So good evening, comrades and friends. To build a progressive majority was just the slogan of the 5th National Convention of the CCS, where I had the opportunity already to describe the situation, the emergence of the party of the European left, and partly about the concrete situation of the German left. And that's why I will promise you that in the international breakfast on Saturday, I will go more into the detail about the development of the European left and the German left, because I want to concentrate this evening on the theme where I was invited, and I feel after the first and the second panel today already very much distinguished to be with you in this symposium, because I have the impression that we have a lot of common and partly even joint challenges, tasks, questions we have to answer in the situation where we are just in. And I feel even more distinguished to be in this panel together with Angela Davis, who was one of the symbols in my life and I get politically socialized, and also with Charlie Mitchell, who has very often guest of the German party Die Linke, and with Mark Solomon, who is accompanying our struggle for merging a new political force in Germany for years. And for that, I want to remain in the introduction of this panel just now some questions which I feel very necessary to answer in the days ahead of us, which maybe have been already answered partly from the point of view of the American or US-American left, but where I feel that all of us together, Venezuelan, South African, the European left, the French left, the German left, have to put together the answer. So, for example, the relationship of parliamentarian and outer-parliamentarian struggle. Saying how to come to the socialism, how to attract people at the working places, where we have to go, where we have to go into debate with the people, must be combined with this question. The relationship of being in governments or not participating as leftists in governments. It's a question very just now critically discussed in the European left, but of course it's a question for the Latin American left, under very complicated conditions when the left had been brought by the people by elections into the position that they have to govern, even when the circumstances are not very fruitful or not very good for them. The question of the productivity of the society. It is also the question for the political left. And I would stress that we as leftists are not used to ask for the monetary value of all elementary activities we are daily engaged in. Or more radical, with the words of Walter Benjamin, while we are principally not should work because the machines are already able to do all the necessary steps of production for us, we would have then the chance in a different way to think about the value of the human labor. And I think that is also a question related to the way of productivity in the Chinese system, in the European system, in the US-American system, and of course everywhere. And we leftists thinking about socialism for the 21st century have to answer what is our concrete alternative of the economic system we want to strive for, and to persuade people to vote for us or to join with us the struggle against the neoliberal stage of the capitalist society. I had brought along also in the introductory remarks, we have to answer the questions of socialism also in the situation of climate change. I think we have not yet answered today this issue. While we are striving for a social just society, we have at the same time to answer the question how to deal with climate change, with the ecological challenges to us, because if we don't find a way of combining social, ecological, sustainable development, it means a solidarity with men or with the human beings and with the ecological or with the environment, we don't find an answer. I want to stress that we face that the hopes for a socialist society emerged during the 20th century, not after periods of economic crisis. I think the left today is in a similar situation like in the end of the 20s and the beginning of the 30s of the last century. We have to find answers which are even not only found in the last century after the wars, the most terrible war, and that's why I think that with the formal end of the bloc confrontation in 1989-90, there was a hope that it is not leading to the further predominance of neoliberal economics. We failed. Now that the Bush era is in the past, multipolar thinking seems once again possible. On contrary to Huntington's clash of cultures and the religious aspect of the Bush administration's foreign policy, currently efforts toward cooperation, balance of interests, and dealing on equal footing are taking a more central position on the international stage. And enter different types of economic activities, as well as a whole new way of living together. Both these are hopes which are not just the result of the change in political leadership that we have recently experienced here in the USA with the election of Obama. But these hopes have been burned through the ever-changing and eventful history of the 19th and 20th centuries. They have established the roots in Latin America and Asia and have brought forth anti-global movements such as the Social Forum, also the Social Forum mentioned already by the United States here 2 years ago. And there is, however, one observation I'm sure we all can agree on. Even the toughest capitalist global economic crisis has not automatically provided the favorable circumstances prerequisite to world society undergoing fundamental political learning. And it is that we have in this way also to analyze the history of the socialist attempts of the 20th century for prevailing to make the same mistakes. We must analyze the failure of the Soviet-style socialism in Europe and to learn our lesson from it. We don't deny the legitimacy of socialism after World War II, and far from it, it was, I guess, a real worse response to the cultural breach of Hitler's fascism, and that means on the same time without a more honored critic of socialist development, without a pluralistic left-party project that is relevant and focused on today, socialist ideas in the 21st century will find no sustainable acceptance. That is my firm conviction.